Today's training. I'm Bill Utnage, and thank you for joining me today. And so, today, what I want to talk about is this one thing that you may be doing that could be possibly could have a direct negative impact on your business. And it can be a lot of different things, but one of the things this thing is that it is delay. And so, what do I mean by delay? Well, I don't know about you, but I am at times a recovering perfectionist, and I've mentioned that before in trainings. Is that it's like it has to look a certain way. So working on something is we got to get you to perfect. The biggest challenge of that perfectionism, which is an illusion, by the way, that perfection doesn't exist in this world anyhow. But what happens as a business owner that we find ourselves in is that we are sometimes overthinking what we're doing and not doing what we should be doing. And when we do that, for example, it could be is us reaching out to our database, right? One of the things, if you're inside of my world, is everything is centered around our database, is reaching out to our past and current clients, our sphere of influence. And sometimes when we do that, it's like, oh, well, I don't know what to say. I got to get the perfect script, if you will. Or if we're going to be sending them, an email or a direct mail piece, it's just laboring over the thing before we send it out and to get into action. Now, if that's you, it's okay. There's hope for all of us. Like I said, my hand is up. I have been in that. I know early in my business, I was that way. I would like, well, what font should it be, and what size, and all of these things. And right, you just spend weeks on trying to get a postcard mailed out. It's like it's crazy at the end of the day. And here's the thing: a saying that I heard years ago is, "Done is better than perfect because perfect never gets done." Okay, I'm going to say that again. Done is better than perfect because perfect never gets done. It's an illusion that we're ever going to get anything perfect. I give you an example of this is like when I wrote this book, Referability Roadmap, right? I wrote it and then I had the manuscript, and then it's like I could still, because it took me 30 years to write the cotton picking thing, right? And the reason being is because there was overthinking a lot of different things. Until finally I'm like, you know what? It's I want to get it out there. It's good enough, right? It's never going to be perfect, and let's get it out. And were there some things now looking after it's been published now, going on 2 years? Yeah, obviously, and maybe I'll do an updated version of it or all of it. But the issue of it is that it never could have had any kind of impact of what impact that it has had on people if it was still setting in my Word document. What had to happen was I had to get into action. And so the other thing is that speed is a great separator. Meaning is that it separates those for the people that are overthinking, that aren't doing this. And again, could be your competition in it, where it's like, I'm thinking through this whole program and I got to get this just right to do it, versus somebody else is just like, hey, we're going to implement this thing. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that we want to put out, junk or anything like that. Absolutely, absolutely not. But I'm just telling you, you'll spend more time on that last 10% than you spent on the first 90% to get the thing done, to do what you're going to do. Or in your mind, whether that's picking up the phone and making a phone call because you're worried about saying the exact right thing, and it just won't happen. And so many times, as I see in businesses, I can kind of look at that. It's kind of like going, but yeah, how long have you been working? Well, I've been working on this. How long have you been working on that? Oh, I've been working on that, for a couple of weeks now. I'm like, enough already. Send it out, mail it out, pick up the phone, call these people, start getting into action, having a conversation, because delay is a killer. At the same time, again, it's like not to go willy-nilly and running into, putting your business at risk because you didn't think through things. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, and what I'm talking about is like, it's that, that last little bit. I got to get that last little thing just right, right? So Gitmo, right? Good enough to move on. Is it good enough for us to move on? Now, we may get some feedback on something, and then we can tweak that. It's all good. But to get it out in front of somebody, and there's where, if you look at anyone that's great at what they do in their business, it's like they're just getting into action. And anymore where it's like, hey, am I at this point? And I've changed dramatically on that. Now it's like sometimes I have to be really careful because I'm like, it's good, it's got it, let's go, let's roll. Right. That's why I like most of all of the time that I do these trainings, unless I'm traveling and I've recorded it ahead of time. Today is live. I'm gonna do it once. Because if I do it and I record it, then I'm gonna go, yeah, I kind of messed up there, or whatever. I can't believe I used the word cotton picking or whatever. Right. It doesn't matter. It's because I would never get it done. This is what it forced me years ago to start doing live videos. I started a one that I do called Mindset Monday. Many of you are tune in for that. Every Monday, I go live and share something related to mindset. And I did that live because I started doing it by recording it. So I would record it and then I would watch it. And then I'm like, oh man, like my hair looks funny or this or that. I'm like, all right, the lighting isn't quite right. I need to move this plant, this plant. So you start overthinking it, right? And I would do take after take. And the next thing you know, a less than 5-minute video would take me over an hour to do. It was insane. Right. So finally, and this was way before lives were a big thing. Now, obviously, a lot of people go live. Still, people are worried about going live because if they screw up or something happens and all of it. But the piece of it is that I'd rather get this piece out to you around talking about this, because if I don't, and I wait to get it perfect, it may never happen. And then you don't benefit from it. Right. And that's the whole thing. And I want you to take that same mindset into your business of kind of going setting on your desk. It's not helping anybody. You're not helping anybody by not putting it out there. And is it risky? Yes. Do I get different feedback from videos that I put out? Absolutely. People think I use too much gel in my hair or whatever, right? It's getting way more grayer than it used. And that's okay. That's okay, because at least I always say, hey, well, at least they watched it, right? They can't watch it and make that comment if I never put it out. So all kidding aside, I know that it's a series for the people that in my world, the people that I coach. A lot of times is that delay of that part of it is like I've got to have it all figured out. You're not going to have everything always figured out. Let's put our best foot forward in this. Let's good enough to move on, and let's take some feedback from that. And if we need to tweak that, where it's like, oh, I've sent out before in my real estate business, I'd send out a direct mail piece and ended up have a word spelled wrong there. I had 3 people look at it. Word got spelled wrong. Have people reach out to me. Go, hey, you spelled this word wrong. I'm like, oh. You know what? Was I upset about that? One, because I want to hold a certain standard. Yeah, I was like, hey, how do we miss that? But the other side of it told me is like, hey, at least they looked at it. They read it. So that was good. So there was an opportunity there. Yes. Now we'll do a better job when we go back, and we're going to make sure we proofread better. I'll get better proofreaders. One of them obviously not being me. So the point behind all of this is like, where in your business right now is delay holding you back from having more success? And if it's in wherever it is, it could be in a lot of different things, but look at that and kind of go, all right, what's one thing that I can do just to move this forward? It may be that direct mail piece. It may be that you're trying to get the perfect words, to reach out and to have conversations with your people in your database. Here's a spoiler alert. They're already in your database. They already know you. If they're in there, and if you follow anything that I teach, they know who you are. You're not cold calling people. And even if you are cold calling people, let's just say you decide, hey, I'm going to start cold calling, do it. You don't have them anyhow to lose. Like, this is the biggest thing, like in businesses, that we get worked up over is like, well, if I say the wrong thing, I'm not going to get this person. Well, unless you already have them as a client, they're not yours. You haven't earned that business, and you're really not going to earn the business is if you don't ever have a conversation with them or send out the piece or whatever that may look like. The email does it, all of this. And don't get into paralysis by analysis where it's just like, it's got to just be, all this has got to be perfect. It's always got to be figured out. Because if you're running a business, you're in business, it's not always ever going to be figured out. At least it hasn't for me in now 33 years of doing it. Just hasn't. And you got to be okay with that. And we want to have, yes, we want to put out good content. We want to do all of those things. But at the end of the day, is it Gitmo? Is it good enough to move on? And all of us are struggling with that. I still do it. I mean, I coach on it, and I still find myself at times where it's just like, okay, stop. Now the difference of it is I have an awareness around it. Now you have an awareness around it. It's like, am I delaying this? Is it, what am I afraid of by, this may happening? And sometimes it's like, hey, I don't want to do it because I might get busy. This may actually work. And then what will happen? Okay. Which is obviously a good problem to have. So delay. Don't let it be holding you back. Okay. Step into it. And I will tell you is that when you do, and then be prepared. Okay. Yeah. If there's always going to be, it doesn't matter if which it will never be perfect, but imperfect in your mind, it's not going to be, see, the challenge of it is that it's perfect in your mind and your eyes. When we put it out to the public, they see it through their lens that they're looking through. And you think it's perfect and they don't. So have thicker skin, be open to feedback on something where it's like, oh, hey, that didn't land the way that I wanted it to land. How can I tweak that? How can I make that a little bit of a change? But for Pete's sake, get it out there. Get into action. That is the separator. That's what's going to separate you from someone else. People go, how many times have you had a conversation is like going, oh, I watch very little TV other than sports and Shark Tank because it's business related. And sometimes I watch Shark Tank and go, hey, I had that idea 10 years ago. Well, it was an idea. Guess what? You didn't do anything with it. And all of us have done that. It's like, I had thinking about that thing years ago. I should have done that. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Doesn't matter. It's what actually gets implemented and gets done. That's how you find success, and then you get a result. So that's what I've got for you today. Don't let delay be a killer inside of your business. Go out, get into action, and let's start seeing some growth happening. As always, hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see everybody back here next Thursday.